listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Well, happy Monday, everyone. If you happen to live in the United States, you know it's Labor Day today. And chances are you're not laboring, okay? Labor Day is when we honor the people who actually do the work, and there's not as many of them as there should be. So too many people have chosen to opt out of the work life, but that is a story for another time. If you live outside the United States, chances are it's just another Monday for you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have a confession to make. I am recording this just a little earlier than live because I've got a couple things I've got going on today that I need to take care of. So if you're new here, I appreciate it. Normally, I'm live on Monday mornings and Thursday nights, and I try to stick to that. But every once in a while, something comes up, and I'll either record one a little early, or I will, sometimes if I have to be away or something, I'll replay something that a lot of people like. So hopefully, if you're new here, you won't be offended by that. Don't forget GiveGod90.com, and of course, I have to do the advertisement for the books. Tradition of Truth, God's Universe, God's Rules, and Inheriting Lies. Don't forget those. They're out there. And now, before I get started on Psalm 119, I should update you on a couple things. Myra's mother, I'm unsupervised at the moment. Myra's taking care of her mom and dad. Her mother's back in the hospital. The doctors have determined that her tumor is inoperable. So, if you would pray for that, they're going to attempt, if they can get her strong enough, radiation and chemo to shrink the tumor. So we'll see how that works. In the meantime, we know that the Creator will do what He will do, and however He needs to work in this situation to accomplish what He's going to accomplish, He will. It's that simple. It's that simple. But hopefully someone will see the faith that is being displayed in this situation, and they'll look at the way that the family responds to it, and hopefully they will say, I don't know what it is that you have that gives you this strength, this joy in the midst of all this, what they might see as a terrible situation, but hopefully they have a desire to have it. Next is a short update on Hawaii. I listened to some more interviews, and it's amazing to me. The people there, many of these people just lost everything, literally. They have no home, no vehicle, no clothes except what they were wearing when they left. And yet many of them are saying, you don't send money. What we really want is to know exactly what happened. And the way we do that is by holding people accountable so that they can lift each other up and not tear each other down. That's what we're doing. And you can help support that by doing that with the people around you. Hold them accountable in an attempt to lift them up, not tear them down. That's how we accomplish that, and that's how we help support not only the people in Hawaii, but our family, our friends, and our Almighty as well. Something I ran across yesterday, and this has got to be right straight from the files of You Can't Make This Stuff Up, okay? I shouldn't laugh at this, but I laugh at this because it's in a way hilarious and in a way sad. This is from the Greek Reporter. Nisha Zahid from August 30th, 2023. The headline is, Prehistoric Bird Believed to be Extinct Returns to New Zealand. Okay? Let me read that again. Prehistoric bird believed to be extinct returns to New Zealand. Now, the headline itself is anything less than exaggeration, right? Oh my! Let me read a little bit of this to you. The recent release of 18 Takahi birds and I'm going to ruin this name. I apologize. In the Lake Wakatipu Wamaori Valley in New Zealand's South Islands holds immense significance. These large, flightless, prehistoric bird species were once thought to be extinct and had not been seen roaming these alpine slopes for nearly a century. Takahi, the unique creature of New Zealand, stands out for their exceptional qualities. These birds, like many other New Zealand, developed, pay attention to this, without the company of land mammals. Instead, they adapted to take on the roles that mammals usually play in the ecosystem. These birds cannot fly and have an average height of about 50 centimeters, which they're about 2 feet tall for people in the United States. Records show that they have been part of the Aotearoa since ancient times, dating back to prehistoric Pliocene era as suggested by remains found in fossils. Describing them, Tumai Cassidy from Nagai Tahu mentions they're almost prehistoric looking. When you look at them from the front, their bodies can seem almost perfectly round. With their blue-green feathers, they resemble a miniature Earth placed on top of 2 bright red legs. As O'Regan, an elder from Nagai Tahu, reflects, someone once called us the land of birds that walk. It goes on to say that their numbers have been severely reduced due to the introduction of animals like stoats, cats, ferrets, and rats by European settlers. However, in 1948, they were rediscovered, and since then, their population has been steadily increasing. You can't make this stuff up. Today, there are around 500 Takahi birds, and their numbers are growing by approximately 8% each year. This marks a significant achievement for conservation efforts in the region. So, my question, were they ever really extinct? Obviously not. When you lose a subspecies, it's gone. You don't get it back. However, just because the numbers get so low that they are severely endangered does not mean they're extinct. The way this entire article reads, it's evolution, right? It's Big Bang, it's evolution. They have done everything they can to convince you. Now, this is all in an attempt to convince you that these animals, these birds, were were developed before mammals. And of course, yes, okay, because birds and fish came before mammals by a day, right? So no, it wasn't. It wasn't that they spent millions of years before mammals. They simply were created the day, or at least their kind was created prior to land animals. And I'm really astounded when I read things like this. I truly, truly am. It leads people into the falsehood of evolution. Evolution denies the creator and creation, by the way. There are denominations that attempt to say, well, God used evolution. And what they're saying, literally, is they do not believe the Bible. That's literally what they're saying. And that leads me into what I want to look at today. Okay, and we're going to Psalm 119. So I'm not going to put the scripture reference in the comments because it's Psalm 119. Yes, it's a long psalm, but it is a very in-depth, intricate psalm that has a lot of things woven into it. David writes in Psalm 119, in verse 118, 119, "You reject all who stray from your statutes, for their deceitfulness is in vain. All the wicked on the earth you discard like dross. Therefore, I love your testimonies." If the folks who are denying the Creator, denying creation, attempting to force mankind's concepts, theories, and ridiculousness into Scripture, what are they doing? They have become deceitful, right? They're attempting to deceive. Let me read verse 118 one more time. You reject, David speaking to the Creator, he says, you reject all who stray from your statutes, for their deceitfulness is in vain. It's empty. It has no substance. Interesting, isn't it? As insightful as David is, he understands that our Creator will refuse to take time to hear your prayers if you reject Him. He will refuse to take the time to do anything for you if you reject Him. Why would He? You want to go out and do your own thing? Go right ahead. You're free to go that way. You want to go destroy yourself? Go destroy yourself. Right? There's a common notion among Christians, especially, that Satan or the devil is an enemy of God. And I understand where that comes from. The reality is that personification of evil is an enemy of mankind and some of the divine beings. That's the reality. If it was only an enemy for the Creator, wouldn't He speak and put an end to it? But because it's not a direct enemy to the Creator, it may stand in contrast. What He chooses to do is say, okay, you have a choice. What are you going to follow? What are you going to do? You've been given the choice. You've been given the opportunity to either hear my voice and obey my commands and be my people, or you've been given the choice that you can deny me. You can go away and try it on your own. Let me know how that works for you. Right? Listen to what David writes as he continues in verse 121. I've done what's right and just. Don't leave me to my oppressors. And in verse 122, ensure your servant's well-being. Don't let the arrogant oppress me. You see, when we try to follow the Creator's instructions and live the way He designed us to live, what's going to happen? We become a target for evil. You ever wonder why Jesus said, take up the thing that they're going to kill you on and follow my example? Right? Because when you follow his example, when you live the way you're designed to live, when you hear and you obey, what happens? He goes on to write in 143, trouble and distress have found me, but your commandments are my delight. No matter what happens, no matter how bad things get, I have joy in listening to your voice and attempting to be obedient. He knows he has a target on his back. David understands he's got a target, right? He knows there's only one safe place for him to be, and that is in the will of the Almighty himself. He's not out there trying to convert people. He's not out there trying to build a church. He's not out there trying to do anything other than what? Be obedient. Yeah, sometimes he says he's his own worst enemy. Sometimes he says he's his own worst enemy. But he's trying. He's doing as good as he can where in the place he's at, right? See, his concern is for his relationship with the Almighty. He understands that there's little that he can say to convince someone else to live the way the Creator designed them to live. And what he's doing in all this is he's showing them their persecution has little effect. Does it bother him? Yeah, it bothers him. Does it bother us? Yeah, it bothers us. Persecution doesn't necessarily mean they're going to kill you. Persecution means they're going to hound you, they're going to push you, they're going to do everything they can do to get you to reject your Creator. And I have said this over and over and over. The worst thing your enemies let me rephrase this. Killing you is not the worst thing your enemies can do. Because if you physically die and leave this world under the protection of the Almighty, what happens? But the worst thing that your enemies can do is cause you to reject your Creator. That's the worst thing they can do. And it doesn't matter what you reject him for. Oh, but, I'm part of this denomination, and it's based on your word. But, yeah, there's things that we do that contradict your word, but I was part of it. He's going to look at you on Judgment Day and say, who are you, and why are you still standing here? You knew what I was asking you to do, and you rejected it. The worst thing your enemies can do is cause you to reject the sacred word of your Creator. there's in verses 161 and 162, David writes, "Rulers persecute me without cause, but my heart fears only your word. I rejoice in your promise like one who finds great treasure." We have that in the world today, don't we? Rulers are persecuting believers without cause. Just turn on any news channel. You'll see it. Just had yeah, here we go. We just had an experience in the United States where in one state they wanted to have this pride drag show. It's against the law to do this in a state if children are present. So the attorneys in the county that it was going to be held in sent a letter and say, look, if you do this, make sure you follow the law. Well, they sued, right? And the federal government said, you can't enforce that law. Rulers persecute us without cause. In the United States, it's a democratic republic, right? So if enough people say this is what we want, that, their representatives go and that's what they vote for. That's the way it's designed to work. That's the way it's supposed to work. It's the way the Founding Fathers based it to work. But it's exactly flipped now, so that the minority now has the authority. Only a few people were at this event. Thankfully, I didn't. The pictures I saw on television, there were no children there. So why? David said this is going to happen, right? Rulers persecute me without cause. Where you live, it may be different. But where we live in the United States, that's what's going on. David understood that the Creator is the only one who can protect him from evil. David's not afraid of death. That's not what's bugging David. What David's afraid of is that he may be tempted to do evil again. Look at verse 170. May my plea come before you. Rescue me according to your promise. David's whole prayer here is, I'm trying to do what's right in your eyes. Can you help me get it right? Can you help me see what I need to be doing? I want to hear your voice. I want to be obedient. But I need some help. I need some clarification. I said this the other night. There's a lot of times that's my prayer. I was in a fellowship. I said, this is what I'm asking for often. I need to figure out what you're trying to do so I don't go against it. Right? How many of us today are willing to be that humble? Not many. Because most people are taught, and I've heard this so often. Most people are taught, if you just say this little sinner's prayer, accept Jesus in your heart, you'll go to heaven when you die and be with all your friends. That's not what David is saying at all. In fact, I went over verse 117 the other day. Hold me up, and I will be saved, that I may always observe your statutes. No. David's not afraid to die at all. He wants to be saved, not so he can go to heaven and be with all his friends. That's not his. That's not what he's saying. What he is saying. What he is saying is he wants to be saved so that he has the ability to be obedient to his Creator. He's given the opportunity to be obedient. That's what salvation is about. It's not about going to heaven. It's about serving your Creator. Don't be deceived by friends, by family, by pastors who don't know what they're talking about. Or worse, pastors who do know what they're talking about and all they're trying to do is build church membership. When a pastor doesn't understand salvation, when a pastor can't give you the biblical definition of sin, chances are they're in it for the money. Just saying. If you really, truly want to be counted as a believer, there's only two things you need to do. You need to first repent and have a heart for repentance. You can't just say it and not mean it. You have to come with a heart that you know you screwed up. I'm going to put it bluntly, okay? I messed up. I blew it. I can't do this on my own. There's nothing left for me to do except turn around and follow the Creator's instructions. Let the people who are going to put you down for following the sacred word of the Almighty, let them have their time. The Almighty may use you to reach them. He may use you to reach them. When they see that their persecution of you has no effect other than to aggravate you. See, our job as believers is not to convert others. That's not what we're for. Their salvation is between them and their Creator. They have to work that out in fear and trembling. Our job is to do exactly what Solomon writes at the end of Ecclesiastes, right? Verse 13 of chapter 12. When all has been heard, the conclusion of the matter is this: fear God and keep his commandments, because that is the whole duty of man. I guess Solomon did learn a little something from his father David after all. So, until Thursday, everyone, I am wishing you many, many blessings.